The forbidden fruit. Throughout history, the tree whose fruits Adam and Eve were forbidden to eat has remained a mystery. The biblical text provided some indications as to what fruit might have been, but one thing is certain: it wasn't an apple. Today, we will explain where the apple came from and what eating the fruit did to Adam and Eve by examining what interpretations were created for that fruit. Let's begin. Eating the fruit from the tree of knowledge is a scene that ignited the creativity of many artists and writers throughout history, from Michelangelo to Milton. It's the scene where Adam and Eve eat the forbidden fruit, the fruit from the tree of knowledge. God created two special trees in the Garden of Eden. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Genesis 2 verse 9. Before pointing to the tree, God cautioned Adam, even before Eve was created, not to eat from the tree of knowledge in the garden, the one that discerns between good and evil. Adam, unsure which tree was off-limits among the two in the garden, chose not to eat from either. Without elaborating on the significance of the garden's trees, Adam cautioned Eve not to eat or touch any of them, warning of immediate death for anyone who did. Eve, driven by curiosity, approached the forbidden tree. At that moment, a serpent appeared and spoke to her. "And you will be like God, knowing good and evil." Genesis 3 verse 5. Her desire for knowledge and for ascending drove her to take and eat. Eve ate the fruit of the tree, but her eyes were not opened. She didn't hide her body, staying naked. She wished to share the fruit with Adam, to show her care. When she offered it to Adam as a sign of love, he felt she risked everything for him. At that moment, he realized that she loved him and their eyes were opened together to sexual desire. The tree of knowledge is related to evil inclinations because Adam didn't have them before. Before eating it, he didn't know whether it was good or bad. But when the serpent appeared, Adam thought he could beat evil inclinations. Eating from the tree changed things. Suddenly, they saw they were naked. Even though they were always bare, evil inclinations weren't there. All their body parts were equal until they ate from the knowledge tree. In the beginning, they covered themselves with fig leaves, possibly hinting at the origin of the fruit. After that, God provided them with clothing. Could the forbidden fruit stamp in the character of Adam be a trait that didn't exist before? There is a difference of opinion among commentators. According to one commentator, Adam and Eve, who were created like the sun, the moon, and the stars, were destined for a certain function, and the course of their lives was predetermined. By eating the tree of knowledge, they were able to stop being creatures that are nothing more than functioning. In this new era, they had the choice to become moral or immoral creatures. As a result of the fruit of the tree of knowledge, the evil instinct, the erotic side of marital relations, which had been natural and innocent until then, was revealed. According to another commentator, Adam and Eve had the ability to decide and choose even before the fall. The tree of knowledge, however, allowed them to do this not only according to objective standards of right and wrong. According to another commentator, the fruit of the tree of knowledge did not add any new qualities to Adam's character or personality. As we examine the description of the forbidden fruit in the Bible, we find that the fruit is portrayed in a very positive light, good for food, with an attractive and aesthetic appearance. And nice to be educated, improves the capacity to think. It is a mystery why Adam and Eve were forbidden from eating the fruit if the fruit contained so many benefits. There is only one good reason: God said, "No. From the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you shall not eat." But what exactly is that fruit? There were several interpretations of the fruit given based on biblical and familiar texts, including fig and wheat. Only one thing is unclear: how and when the forbidden fruit became an apple. There is no mention of apple in Garden of Eden stories. One of the Tanaim assumed that it was a fig. And there are those who interpret it as that it is wheat in general. And in the Aramaic translation of the Song of Songs, it is said that the apple is actually citron. In other words, was there an apple or not, and if not, when was it established that apples were the forbidden fruit? Symbolizing forbidden knowledge, sin, temptation, and so on, the apple is the most familiar biblical symbol. Look at Michelangelo's ceiling painting depicting the original sin in the Vatican Sistine Chapel to see what we mean. There's no mention of the apple in it, so what does it have? There it is clear that Michelangelo used a fig there, which wasn't a random choice, but rather a reference to ancient Christian art traditions dating back to the Roman Empire, where the fruit of the tree of knowledge is a fig. How come figs and not grapes or another fruit were chosen? Several fruits are nominated, but the fig is unique because of its biblical connection. The moment they discovered they were naked after eating from the tree of knowledge, Adam and Eve immediately covered themselves with fig leaves. This is how the commentators reached the desired conclusion that Adam and Eve were probably standing beside a fig tree when they sinned, hence the explanation that the forbidden fruit is a fig. When and how did the fig become the apple? This is because of the Latin word malum that has the double meaning of both apple and evil, which explains how the forbidden fruit became an apple. In France, the forbidden fruit, apple, appeared for the first time in several works of art during the late 11th and early 12th centuries. It was at that time that the apple, which had never been mentioned before, became the dominant fruit in France, pushing out the fig and the grape, even though these fruits were already well established. After that moment, the apple is seen in illustrations, sculptures, churches, and paintings, and it quickly takes over the entire artistic landscape. It was only Italy that continued to interpret the fruit as a fig for the next 350 years. We didn't see the same translation or interpretation of fruit as apple in Italian, as it already had a separate term for apple, mela, so, unlike English, French, and German, Italian already had a separate word for apple. Despite caution, it was said that the type of tree might not have mattered. Possibly, God only wanted to test Adam and Eve by allowing them to love each other for the purpose of creating a family. Unfortunately, we will never find out. Finally, if Adam got into trouble for taking what was forbidden, how would we not get into trouble for taking what is forbidden? There is a simple solution to this problem. Adam didn't have the Bible, but we do, so we will study it to become stronger and therefore remain on the straight path. We hope you learned something new today. If you did, give this video a like and share it with your friends. You can share with us what you know by leaving a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more informative and entertaining content. Thank you so much and see you next time.